Here is a look at my gap and go trades for the week of November 3rd through the 7th. I will go over price targets on the 5-minute time frame, have a gap recap from October 27th through the 31st, and update the chart as well. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. First up is Rivn. We ended the week at $13.57, up 4.46%. This is where we are at resistance. If we make it to the next level, that will take us to roughly $13.81. This is also resistance and another potential take profit area. And this is 4 standard deviations, which would take us to $14.02. We also have a gap that will take us to $14.58. However, we are still in a downward channel on the 5. And below this line takes us back to the middle of the trend. The yellow line is from 2024, and we're just headed back to where we were. And this upcoming week, this is the trend line, and basically, oops, I want it right about there, and I will change this to purple, overlay it, and then below that takes us to roughly 1274, 1255, and another level of support and another potential buy-in area, $12.33. If we hit this line, or that line, I will anticipate a bounce off of support. People will be buying the dip. And if we look left, you can see we hit resistance, and what happens at resistance? People take their profits and they run, they lock in, and they leave. And then we went through the middle of the trend there, and we touched a level that I marked out in 2024 and bounced off of that. And oh, by the way, this time around, I enabled VWAP. That is in the blue, and VWAP is at $13.23. This is the outer band right here, and then the lower band. And again, all I'm doing is tracking it for the week. This is a swing from here to here, and I'm giving you levels for Monday. And you can see we hit resistance, and then we sold off. And this gap closed, that gap closed. So I think I'm pretty much done closing out any of the gaps except for the downside, but we are not there, not in the channel just yet. But we could touch safely the middle of the trend if we continue to fall. I mean, we could touch it. Oh, I have to flip this over. Let's do this on the 1 hour to see if the date auto populates. No, I'm not out yet. But anyway, as we get closer to that level, I'm going to have to go on the daily, and I will do that at some other point, not in this video. Now, the next earnings report is coming up. So where are the analysts expecting us to go? Where are we going to hit? So the 1-year price target is 14.53, which represents a 5.73%. But after that, the next leg up is $21. You're going to have to fight for that. And then the minimum $10. So they're saying that we could bleed out more. And we are still going down, but flip it over to the different time frames to give you different buy and sell signals. And we're starting to get overbought here. So I will expect to roll over, and that lines up with resistance where we are. Ignore all these lines. These are just lines I've marked for myself. I don't need them. I just have it on here. Yes, it looks like a hot mess, but I could trade with or without it. It makes no difference, although I like to see it to anticipate either the bounce off of support or resistance. The next ticker up is NEO. We ended the week at $7.25, up 3.42%. Now, this is where we are at resistance. All right, just right above it, right on the dot would be 727, but we're close enough. 734, and then down the road, 740. Now, if we reverse and go down, the middle of the trend is now here. I will expect a bounce off of this line, or we could just chop sideways, up and down, but gradually, hopefully, follow this line up. The next line, oh, VWAP is right here at 712. I know it's hard to see it with this line in the way. There you go. And then what I track for myself is $7, $6.92 for support, and $6.86. -2, -3, and -4 standard deviation. Support, support, support. This basically lines up with the lower channel of VWAP. Note the bounce here after hitting this critical area, and then the sell-off at resistance, and I'll expect the same here. This is the bounce at support and support. And let's see. Earnings coming up soon. Let's go over Tsly. I almost sold out some of my shares on Friday, but did not because I'm waiting for a gap fill. All right, so let me show you where we are. We are in a downward channel on the 5. We're at 852. We're at resistance. The next leg up, 863, and another time, another date would be 873. We are not there. Now to the south side, this is VWAP. We're at 845, and the middle of the trend on the linear, 833, an area that I've already sold out of previously. Support, another level of support, many levels of support and resistance between -2 and 2. And draw your trend lines, your Bollinger Bands, your VWAP, patterns, whatever you like to do. Fibonacci, 813, 803, and 793. I trade basically one way, and that's it. And if we go down, I will anticipate a bounce even off of VWAP and then my other lines, which are constantly changing. So keep that in mind. Now we've got a gap to fill to the south side here. That will start, I'll just mark this, 837. It will close out. So if you like to go short, 828. And we have a gap here. I'm trying to sell this lot that I bought at 834. I want to sell at 862. I could have sold it here around this range, but I didn't. I thought, I've been in it this long. I'm going to stay in it until we hit this gap. So if we don't, then I'm stuck for a while, but that's okay. I will sell out with a 3.35% return. I've traded this thing many, many times. But that is my goal, to get rid of that lot. I still own also lots at 831, 809 in the hot pink, $8, $7.75, $7.72, $7.70, $7.65, and $7.60. And then I have some to the upper side where I never set a stop loss, which is why you need to do that if you cannot afford to lose your money, or you're just learning to trade. You need to protect your capital. And I'm horrible at that, but I don't care. I'm just waiting for a retracement. And that could take a while, but I'm okay with that. Now, this gap, one day I will set the stop loss. This gap closed. This was an expected move down to 826, delete. And so we gapped up. What goes up must come down. And it filled to the downside right there at 826. And did I clean everything else up? Yes, I think so. Oh, wait. What is this one? This one definitely closed. I traded this for a 2.4% return, got rid of that. Just playing a range until there's a breakout, and then I will sell some other shares that I bought lower for a higher return. 839 is no longer in play. What else? Yep. Anywhere there's a green or red price label, I know I got to go back and check it out. And for the 3-month period, we are up 12.25%. For the 5-year period, down 70, almost 9%. 1 year, we're down 30%. This thing has whipped us around. Next up, Boeing. Ended the week at 201.02. This one's bleeding out. Major ups and downs. All right, we're at resistance. There's a pattern here because we ran a little bit. Only one ticker is down this week for this gap and go video that I make. Okay, 201.02 up 0.47%. Even though we're down, we bounce around and hit resistance for a high. Next up would be 203.42 and down the road 206.15. If we bounce to that level, I will anticipate a pullback, but we're trying to go for this right here at 213.52. All right, and this is the new middle of the trend. This one is very close to the one I marked previously. And when was that? Let me tell you. Oh, now I got to go to the 15 to move it left because, all right, we marked that out on Friday, May 9th, and we're just retracing to that level. How sad is that? But that's an opportunity to get in if you're trying to get in for cheaper. Just not for people who bought higher. That's the problem. That's why you got to set your stop loss if you can't afford to lose. Or you just stop out at a smaller loss, and that's how you protect your capital. So what I'm going to do, I digressed here. This is the middle of the trend. Oh, wait, no, it's not because I'm on the 15. Let's go to the 5. I need to be consistent. You're going to get different buy and sell signals if you don't play on the same time frame. Yeah, you can flip it out to get a gauge of where price may be headed, but I try to sell on the same time frame. We're at 201.02. The middle of the trend is here. So I'm going to delete this one just because it's so close. I don't need it. And one level of support. This will be a bounce area, or we chop sideways, or we continue to go down. Or 189.76. I don't think we'll get to 187.03, but if we do, there will be a buy-in, and that's also support 184.19. All right. Oh, VWAP is in the blue at 200. Let me move this out of the way. $200.81. We're all very close to that, but we could bounce off of that line. We could bounce off of that line. Many levels of support and resistance in between. And the last one, Nike, the only red ticker that we ended the week with. Oops, I just enacted the Fibonacci retracement. I don't know how I did that, but I didn't mean to. All right, 64.59 is where we ended. To the north side, 64.79. This is the upper channel and resistance as well for VWAP. Excuse me. 65.19 and 65.59. To the south side, back to an area I traced when. Let's take a look. Oh my goodness, look how far I have to take this. And it won't, oh yeah, let's see. Come on. It's just better to go to the 30. Let's just take that. All right, I marked that out. Let's move this. I marked that out on Friday, March 28th, and we're just retracing to that level. All right, so we are up here. So, okay, I digressed. So what did I say? If we go up, that's the middle of the trend. Let me do this again. 69.27, 71.11, 72.82, if I didn't do it again previously, I mean. Okay, the middle of the trend is here. Let's mark that out. From where we are down here, that's resistance. And that is close to this line, so I will delete that. And to the south side, 62.13, 60.35, and 58.53. We have gaps to the downside to fill. And looking left, this gap closed right there on, let's say, the Tuesday. So that is no longer in play. This gap that took us down to 65.31 actually closed right here, and that took us to 65.31-ish. I will delete that. That is no longer in play. That is an anticipated move. I happened to just extend it out to here, but really it touched there. So that's done. Delete. And what else? Watch out for all these gaps to the south side. We got a bleeder here. And we have gaps to look forward to the upside down the road. All right, that is a look at, let me move this again. That's my PSA. All right, 64.59 is where we ended for that. So hopefully we'll correct and just start to go sideways. And the 1-year price target, in case you're down, is $83.31. That's a hefty 29% return, but that is down the road. You're going to have to fight for that. It's going to chop us around. All right, that is a look at my 101 gap and go trade I've done. That is just nuts. All right, have a great trading week.